Honorable the Deputy Chief Justice, my Lords, the Chief Justice and Deputy Chief Justice Emeritus present here, the Right Honorable Prime Ministers Emeritus, Right Honorable Mama Mbabazi and Right Honorable Hakana Rugunda, my Lord the Acting Principal Judge, my Lords the Justices of the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal, both serving and retired present here, my Lord the Judges of the High Court, both serving and retired, members of the Judiciary Council, your worships present here, the Vice President, Uganda Law Society, Senior Counsel present, and members of Uganda Law Society, the family of the late Honorable Justice Professor G.W Kanyeihamba, friends, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen in your various capacities, I wish good afternoon to you all. Unfortunately, when I received the invitation, my Lord, the Honorable the Chief Justice, I was not given a time limit, so I did not know whether to speak as a politician, a lawyer appearing before the bar, or indeed the Attorney General. So I'll try and mix this up. But if you look at my speech now, the point of speaking after many people is like I'm preparing for appearing before Justice Kanyeihamba. Because when you appeared before him, before you even started appearing, he would start talking. And then you'll have these notes all over your brief, and it will change a lot of your thinking. We are gathered here today to honor and celebrate and pay tribute to a remarkable gentleman and gallant jurist, the Honorable Justice Professor George Wilson Kanyeihamba, a revered former Justice of the Supreme Court, an extraordinary professor, a former Attorney General, whose contribution to the law and education will echo for generations to come. I did not have the distinct pleasure of personally interacting with him intimately. I did not interact with him intimately, but as a practitioner and those who spoke here before me, it was very difficult in our profession to avoid interacting with Justice Kanyeihamba through his works. However, I knew him through my appearances before him in the Supreme Court, in the course of my practice, and I know him as a tough judge. I will not tell you what happened with my first appearance before Justice Kanyeihamba, but I can tell you it shaped who I am today. It instilled the fear of the law in me and the fear of the bench. So now, he was one person who understood the law and served the bench with integrity. I also knew him as an ardent golfer. I'll come back to that. For the golfers who are here, I'll come back to that a little later. Justice Kanyeihamba, after I communicated to the Attorney General's chambers quite regularly, and I always read his communications, which were normally long and winded. But I always told the officers in the Attorney General's chambers that read those letters at least 3 times, because the point is there somewhere, and if you miss it and you tell him the wrong thing, it will be a problem. So reading from Justice Kanyehamba's communications, you could see a person who is deeply rooted in the understanding of the law. Professor Kanyeihamba was more than just a scholar. He was a beacon of wisdom, integrity, and compassion. And compassion, I think I say this in the Chichiga way. Compassion in the Chichiga way, because as I will tell you later, the Muchiga in Justice Kanyeihamba will easily come out. He dedicated his life to the pursuit of constitutionalism and the rule of law. As a Justice of the Supreme Court, we in the legal fraternity knew Professor Kanyeihamba for the wealth of landmark decisions he delivered, and that significantly shaped and impacted the jurisprudence of this country. I, for one, and I think for many here, we celebrate many judgments, but I think one of his most celebrated judgments is his decision in the Constitutional Appeal number 1 of 1997, Attorney General versus Major General David Tinyefuza. Because I think that is one of the decisions which really shaped the working of the Constitutional Court in Uganda. I, for one, I hear many other judgments which are spoken of, mainly the one of the 2006 dissent. but I think he did better writing in this judgment, but everyone can judge for himself. In this case, he clearly articulated the jurisdiction of the Constitutional Court in interpreting the Constitution from the jurisdiction of other courts in applying and enforcing the Constitution. It goes without saying that Professor Kanyeihamba believed in justice that transcended legal boundaries. He understood the law and that the law should serve the people, and he fought tirelessly for the rights of the marginalized. His judgments were not merely legal opinions, they are reflections of a deep moral conviction. Of course, as you may all know, Professor Kanyeihamba was a straight talker and quite vocal on his views on any issue, even at times extremely controversial, but was always meticulous in delivering his point. As an ardent golfer, stories are told about Justice Kanyeihamba. About 20 years ago, when Justice Kanyeihamba was about 66, he was teeing off hole number 18. Hole number 18 had a tree which was now probably 10 feet high, 10, 20 feet high. So he was playing with this young golfer of about 20 years, and he told him, you know, I used to hit, when I was your age, a while ago I used to hit this ball straight over this tree onto the green. So he says, this young man sizes himself up and says, I've got to hit this ball. Because if Justice Kanyeihamba could go over this tree, I am going over this tree. Of course, the young golfer did not go over the tree, and Justice Kanyeihamba quipped and said, you foolish young man. When I was your age, that tree was ground high. So clearly he got him, because there was a bet going on as to who would win, and Justice Kanyeihamba got him right there. Prior to joining the judiciary, Professor Kanyeihamba served also as the Minister of Justice and Attorney General in 1979 and 1989 to 1991. He also served as a Minister of Justice, where he offered invaluable service to his motherland, for which we are truly grateful as a nation. Of course, as Attorney General right now, I stand on the shoulders of these great legal minds, these legal giants, just such as Professor Kanyeihamba. We have some here, Right Honorable Amama Mbabazi, retired Justice Bart Katurebe. So it is that foundation that they laid for us on which we stand today. As a ministry and the chambers in the Ministry of Justice, we thank Justice Kanyeihamba for his service. Professor Kanyeihamba also was a member of the Constituent Assembly, was a Constituent Assembly delegate, and the chairperson of the Legal and Drafting Committee of 1995. I encourage all of you who would like to understand the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda to go and read the Hansard of that debate in Parliament. In that regard, Professor Kanyeihamba had the privilege of serving in all three arms of government, that is the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. And I am pleased to say that he served all of them with diligence, commitment, and integrity. In the academic world, I am told that Professor Kanyeihamba possessed a profound understanding of the law and a disdain for people who did not get the simple principles of the law, but was always willing and had a great ability to try and drag every student along and ensure that they did appreciate the points of law that he was putting across. It is his ability to make complex ideas accessible that truly set him apart from other professors. He had a talent for igniting a passion in students and encouraging them to think critically. Today, as we reflect on Professor Kanyeihamba's legacy, let us remember the lessons he impacted, and not just about the law, but about dignity, integrity, rule of law, and respect for one another. Although we say goodbye to Professor Kanyeihamba, the jurist, friend, husband, and father, let us celebrate the life he lived and the impact he made. My appeal to you all is that we honor his memory by carrying forward his commitment to justice and education, thus creating a better environment. To his immediate family, on behalf of the Attorney General's chambers, on behalf of the Uganda Bar, and on my own behalf, we stand by you as you grieve and pray that his spirit will live in your hearts. May the soul of Professor George Kanyeihamba rest in eternal peace. I say all this for God and my country. I thank you.